So a coup has just taken place in Guinea Bissau. Two presidents have declared themselves winner after the elections, and the military has arrested the incumbent president and has taken over the government. They have declared themselves commander of the military and suspended the electoral process until further notice.
The military of Guinea Bissau have taken over power. We ask the international community to respect our sovereignty. We also ask our counterpart in West Africa to do same. Africa must be free.
Two different presidents now in Guinea Bissau. One is President Umaru Sissoco Embalo and the other one is Fernando Diaz. They have also ordered the closure of all land, air and sea borders and an overnight curfew. There are two presidents now, two leadership in Guinea Bissau. But the president who has been deposed has also been arrested. And guess who arrested him? An army officer who served as the head of security. The head of his own security is the person that arrested him. His name is Denis Nkanha. That is the person that arrested the incumbent president and deposed him. So the man who is supposed to protect the president himself has put the president under arrest. And guess what? Our former president, President Goodluck Jonathan, was also trapped in Guinea-Bissau, only to be airlifted from the country by Côte d'Ivoire. The Nigerian government couldn't even help him. They could not help to save him. Hundreds of foreigners, including Nigerian president, former President Goodluck Jonathan, were trapped in the coup when the whole thing was going on. But finally, he has been rescued by Côte d'Ivoire. Former President Goodluck Jonathan is currently trapped in Guinea-Bissau, where the military announced takeover earlier in the day. The Nigerian leader, alongside hundreds of foreign observers, are unable to leave the country where elections took place and results were about to be officially declared. Daily Trust understands that hundreds of foreign observers who raced to the airport in a bid to leave the country after the coup was announced are currently stranded. Remember, a curfew was declared. In the transport sector, no movement by air, by road, by sea. So foreign observers were trapped. A group of military officers claimed total control of the country a day after two leading candidates, President Umaru Sissoco Embalo and Fernando Diaz, each declared victory. Calling themselves the High Military Command for the Restoration of Order, the officers ordered the immediate suspension of the electoral process until further notice. They also ordered the closure of all land, air and sea borders and an overnight curfew. The president said, and I quote, "I have been deposed," Embalo told French broadcaster France 24 in a phone call, adding that he was currently at the General Staff headquarters. The head of the main opposition, PAIGC party, Domingos Simios Pereira, has also been arrested, Hack said. As well, we've just heard that the military is trying to cut off the internet. There's a curfew in place. He added that the army officer leading the coup, Denis Nkanha, served as the head of the presidential guard. The man supposed to protect the president himself has put the president under arrest, Hack said. Upon his arrival in the country, Jonathan, who is the head of the West African Elders Forum WAEF Observer Group, posted on social media, "We've arrived in Bissau this evening as members of the West African Elders Forum WAEF election mission ahead of Guinea-Bissau's presidential and parliamentary polls scheduled for November 23, 2025. We wish the people of Guinea-Bissau a peaceful, inclusive and transparent elections." 2 days later, he posted another update out on election day in Bissau. Members of the West African Elders Forum election mission today conducted visits to some polling stations in Bissau as voting commenced in Guinea-Bissau's 2025 presidential and parliamentary elections. WAEF extends warm regards to the people and authorities of Guinea-Bissau and wishes a smooth voting process and a peaceful, stable post-election period that strengthens unity and democratic governance, he wrote. Jonathan's last update on Bissau was yesterday, when he wrote that he went on a condolence visit to the family of late Guinea-Bissau President Manuel Sefiro Nhamadu to condole with them on the recent passing of their matriarch and former First Lady, Mrs. Isolina Dan Fonseca Nhamadu. He had posted 5 pictures he snapped with the family. Attempts to confirm whereabouts and safety of Jonathan from Ikechukwu Eze, his spokesman, did not yield results as his telephone line was out of reach. However, Imani Boro, a former spokesman of the ex-president, confirmed to Daily Trust that the Nigerian leader who recently marked his 68th birthday was still in Guinea Bissau when the coupists struck. However, he said Jonathan confirmed that he was safe. Niboro told Daily Trust that he spoke with Jonathan, who assured him that he was safe. In a statement, Jonathan, alongside other African leaders in the country, condemned the coup. We expressed deep concern with the announcement of a coup d'etat by their armed forces while the nation was waiting for the announcement of the results. It is regrettable that the announcement came at a time when the missions had just concluded meeting with the two leading presidential candidates who assured us of their willingness to accept the will of the people. I guess we know that willing after all. We deplore these blatant attempts to disrupt the democratic process and the gains that has been achieved thus far. We request that the African Union and the ECOWAS take necessary steps to restore constitutional order. We express concern of the arrests of top officials, including those that are in charge of the electoral process. In this regard, we urge the armed forces to immediately release the detained officials to allow the country's electoral process to proceed to its conclusion. We call on the people of Guinea-Bissau to remain calm, and we reaffirm our commitment to supporting the country on its democratic path. And in this respect, we underscore the importance of preserving peace, stability, and the well-being of Guinea-Bissau people. During this sensitive period, the statement read that democracy can still not be trusted in Africa. Democracy is still very, very weak. A joke in Africa. That is why I keep having issues like this. When a 92-year-old man is still the president of a country, it is why you have issues like this. When the electoral process cannot be trusted, it is why you have issues like this. Because how can two people declare themselves winners of an election? How ridiculous is that? In a democratic system that is trusted, that is reliable, it can never happen. One of them will accept defeat, and the worst that will happen is that his supporters will protest, but not him declaring himself the winner. It shows you how weak the system, the political system of this country is. Now, the UN has of course condemned the coup in Guinea-Bissau. In a statement, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, said, "I am deeply concerned by the unfolding events in Guinea-Bissau." He denounced the actions of the military actors involved in the power grab, stating that, "I strongly condemn the coup d'etat perpetrated by elements of the military in an attempt to violate constitutional order. Any disregard of the will of the people who peacefully cast their votes during the November 23rd general elections constitutes an unacceptable violation of democratic principles." He called for a swift return to civilian leadership and the release of detained government officials. He said, and I quote, "I call for the immediate and unconditional restoration of constitutional order and the release of all detained officials." He says, "I reaffirm the full support of the UN for safeguarding democracy, promoting stability, and assisting Guinea-Bissau in concluding the electoral process peacefully and swiftly returning its democratic path."